welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from a new Sabata Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're also streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 927. This evening here on Hot Edition, Cabinet approves 2025 National Budget and Economic Policy, clearing the way for its submission and presentation to Parliament on the 11th of March. Also, government to construct a second gas processing plant to augment supplies from Atwabo. We have details for you after the Cabinet meeting earlier today. Also, the Minister of State for Government Communications, Felix Kwachu Fosu, has reiterated that the Mahama administration has appointed only 30 presidential staffers, not 100, responding to Samuel Abojinapo earlier in the week on the floor of Parliament. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We've got details for you. All these and more, as always, with the latest in business and sports in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. I am Alfred Ocansey. Let's get into the details of the stories now. A coalition of civil society groups and environmental non-governmental organizations, they're advocating urgent action following the controversial arrest of a forestry commission officer in the Etiwa forest in the eastern region. The officer, part of an anti-illegal mining task force, was reportedly detained while attempting to stop illegal miners near Oboho last week. At a news conference today, the coalition called on the arrest of these persons as blatant abuse of power and accused the Chebi police of shielding illegal miners while targeting officers who are enforcing the law. Now, the group also slammed the Eastern Region Police leadership, demanding immediate removal of Commanders DCOP George Boydi Bossman and ACP Reynolds Sam for failing to halt mining activities. They want that without decisive leadership, illegal mining will continue to devastate water and also the forest reserves. Let's speak to Darrell Bosu. Now is joining us on the telephone. He addressed the press conference earlier today. Darrell, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good afternoon, my brother. I hope everything is fine.
All is well. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us. First of all, I mean, just for the benefit of the uninitiated, this officer, the Forestry Commission officer, whom you understand was doing his job in stopping the illegal mining in the Tiwa forest. What exactly happened to him?
Yes, so I think that the background of the story is that for like over 3 weeks, the forestry team has been monitoring illegal activities around the Tiwa forest. What the miners are doing now is that they just go and start mining right on the fringes of the boundary of the forest. And whilst they think nobody is watching, they just encroach and start mining. And when they mine, they go and mine and then they move their equipment outside the forest to keep it. So monitoring them for several weeks, they decided to undertake a very silent enforcement action. And when they went there, they went quietly. There wasn't any incident at all. They went to ban excavators because they knew that those were the excavators being used to encroach on the forest reserve. Several days later, the officer was walking somewhere around Achimota, and he was accosted by guys who said he's wanted somewhere for banning excavators. And this we thought was very unfortunate because he was part of the rapid response team, in which he was part of the Forestry Commission. So they were undertaking their lawful duty of protecting the forest as they are mandated to do. So to send some other people to come after him for something he did officially, we thought that wasn't right. And in any case, if there was something the Chebi police also needed to do, they could have written to the Forestry Commission to get clarification or whatsoever. But the manner in which they actually arrested the gentleman, kept him in an undisclosed location before they picked him to Chebi for him to then provide a statement which was unlawful, and this needs to be called out. And this seems to be coming too common, where we see some police officers tending to side with illegal miners, whilst officers who are now taking steps to protect and also secure national assets are rather ridiculed for doing the work that they are mandated to do.
I see. And what exactly was the explanation that these officers gave for rather picking up an officer who was doing the right thing or doing his job?
Well, I think the communications that came later was that there was an instruction from RESEC that they should find the perpetrators who burnt the excavators as if they were not doing their job as it were. And so I think it was all because of the incident that happened at Obuohun, close to that forest, where the forestry officers went to the ground to enforce actions and also stop illegal activities destroying the forest as we know it.
I see. And could it be that's based on your engagement that the burning of the excavators, because this administration has been consistent that there is no directive to that effect to any of the officers of the Forestry Commission to burn excavators?
Yes, I mean, there is no directive to anybody to burn excavators. Neither is there any directive that forestry officers who find themselves stranded in a forest reserve should be given resources for them to be able to do their work. I think the forestry officers go to the ground to enforce the law and prevent people from undertaking activities that will destroy the forest. And in exercising that right, there is no limitation to what they can do. I really think that if there is any deterrent measure that we can put in place to stop the impunity, one of them will be burning excavators. I mean, I do not see why people think that there's a problem with burning an excavator when in other instances they would think that pulling somebody's house down is sufficient deterrent measure for building an illegal place. Now, these miners, they know there are places they should never go. They should never go and practice their illegal activities, but they know very well that even if they go, nothing will happen to them. And when they go and their equipment are confiscated, they will find a way to take control over it again. And that is why they keep doing it. And that's why I'm saying that if there's any deterrent measure, if you are really serious about dealing with what I'm saying, we need to impose an instruction to burn. And once we start that, nobody would take that risk. Nobody would take that risk.
How do you respond to those with contrary views as well on this position you've taken that one of the best ways to deter people from engaging in illegal mining is to ban excavators that are either impounded to have been involved in illegal mining? Because there's a view that if you impound them, then you see that can be put to use by the state in other ways so beneficial instead of destroying the excavators. And I'm sure you've heard this before, because this is not the first time we've seen excavators being burnt.
Yeah, I've heard the argument you're also making before, that let's impound them, let's confiscate it to the state. And I'm saying, yes, that works very well in a system where the compliance measures and works very well, perfectly, smoothly. Okay? We know what happened to several excavators that were confiscated and impounded, kept in a particular location, against the same belief that it should be confiscated to the state to be used for other works and all of that. We know how these excavators eventually vanish from the system. If that system is working, confiscating and repurposing excavators is definitely the right way to go. But we have a system that is porous, that people who are engaged in impunity always have a way to go back and take control of their equipment. And that's why I'm saying that for as long as our system remains porous as it is, then burning will be significant and sufficient deterrence. And that is something we should not be afraid to really pursue if we really mean to deal with this Galamsey menace. Because, I mean, even as I'm talking to you, the same time that we had the incident at Obuohun, there was another incident at Potroase where some excavators were found to be undertaking illegal activity in the forest. The police, everybody went, the forestry people went there to see the machine, confiscated it. By the next day, the machine had vanished. So I think we need really to get serious if we want to deal with this Galamsey, and that's why I'm saying that we need very bold and decisive action. We can't treat this issue with the kid gloves that we have been doing for several years to come. The strategies of yesterday will not work if we are just going to continue with what happened in the past.
I see. And how about also that focus we hear of this administration, they captured in their manifesto that they would, as part of the fight against illegal mining, trace the financiers of the illegality, those unidentified, influential, so-called big men in society who are funding this illegal activity, and rather deal with them as a root cause of this problem instead of, attacking those, or as it were, addressing it from those they arrest in the forest, which has been the approach over the period.
I think we need to have a mix of strategies. The previous administration in 2019 passed Act 995, which was actually the legal provision making it more punitive for anybody to fabricate, to finance, and to engage in illegal mining. We saw right after that particular law being passed that Akunta mining was engaged in illegality, very connected to the presidency. Nothing happened. As we speak, I know there's a petition from Kenneth Shigbe and also Senior Counsel Martin Pebu asking for the prosecution of this case and asking what happened to the petition to deal with it. So these provisions have been there. I would be all happy that this government will really take this provision as it is and make sure that the law is implemented to the letter. That is one good way to also push ahead and gain ground in dealing with Galamsey. The financiers always get away with it. The people who are providing the excavators always find a way to escape prosecution, and it's only those who are in the pit who get that. So yes, that is a strategy that needs to be done. We want to see all of that start happening so that the people on the ground who are becoming emboldened day in and day out can know that this government really means what they say. And I always say that, look, we had an opportunity during the transition period to really exert and show leadership against any impunity. But see how we are even now seeing some members or constituency chairpersons of the NDC even demanding to be notified before any operation is done. I think we are getting to the point where we are practically repeating the same regime as we saw in the past. And that, for me, is unfortunate. And so I think we have everything it takes to deal with Galamsey. Compliance and enforcement is the major thing that is missing. So we need to really go back to our laws and start implementing. If the President, His Excellency, is willing to make that work, I think we will make significant gains with the fight against Galamsey.
I see. And why are you, if I say you, your group, the CSOs, criticizing the Eastern Regional Police leadership, and you're demanding their immediate removal? That's DCOP George Boedi Bosman and the ACP Reynolds Sam. What exactly have they done?
Well, Alfred, this fight against Galamsey is one that involves all of us. It involves community people. It involves the presidency, the lawmakers, everybody. But one critical agency that can really change the fortunes of the fight against Galamsey is the posture and the actions of the law enforcement agencies. And if you go to the eastern region now, particularly within the Achimabwako traditional area, there is such impunity, miners taking over rivers, driving away farmers, encroaching on the Atwa forest, several of them mining in the undergrowth of the forest. And these police officers and commanders, no matter how much you reach out to them, you engage them, there's always a way to sidestep the process, to frustrate the process, and I think that they are not really up for the task, and that is why we're saying that if they were really being very effective and efficient, the way Galamsey and illegal mining is happening in that particular area will have really been minimized, to say the least. So I believe that we need a new leadership, and it's not only for this particular area. Every landscape, every district, every region where Galamsey is rife, where we see clear compliance, leadership failures, we need to start changing. We need some serious reforms so that we get leaders and officers who are ready to help us make the gains that we need.
I see. And by this, is there any ultimatum to this decision you want to be taking with respect to these
I think
police command?
I think we don't want to propose any ultimatum to the presidents or the IGP for them. I mean, they need to. It's in their best interest that these issues come to them and they take it up and really investigate and get to the bottom and make sure that the officers they have deployed to various command posts and divisions are really doing the job that they do. We are actually expressing our frustration with the people and how these people are not supporting the fight. Because several times communities make complaints, the miners go and they come back and rather hold the communities at ransom, and I think that this must stop. The only people who can really stop this impunity is the law enforcement agencies, and the police hierarchy and leadership have a significant role to play. If we are not seeing results, then we need to ask the leadership in these areas to be changed, and I think that is in the right direction if that can be done.
Right. And then before I let you go, Daryl, LI 2462 is still on our books. I mean, so what is it?
It's shocking, Alfred. It's very shocking. I still cannot understand why 2 months into the president's term of office, he has not really taken any step. I've heard a lot of discussions behind the scenes that things will happen, but nothing is happening, and I don't see why. Everything that needs to be done, this is one of the simplest processes they can embark on. The previous government initiated that process. If you also agree that this law is not good for Ghana, it must be revoked. It was captured in the manifesto. Several statements were made on this on several platforms that we engage in. And so I don't see why we are still with this law in our books. It must go immediately. And I think that we need to see the president really rise up to the occasion. Look, these are some of the early steps that need to be taken for everybody to see that I really mean business when I said I'm going to deal with Galamsey. And then we also need all mining concessions that are now targeting forests to be revoked. If you listen to the presentation that was done by officers of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources during the engagement with the MP, you realize that already about 10 forest reserves are now targeted, one of them being a GSBA. And I asked myself, I mean, so if CSO had not spoken very loudly in time past, I'm sure almost all the 22 or more forest reserves that were targeted for mining would have now been at the mercy of miners. And that's adding that to already the 44 forest reserves that have been impacted severely by illegal mining. You can just guess what the kind of situation will be doing. So I think that we are losing steam by not really taking a very low-hanging opportunity that we have to take.
Daryl, I do appreciate your thoughts as always on this, and it's one that we're going to stay a bit as always.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana, one of the CSOs in the environment space. They, together with other CSOs in the environment space in Ghana, addressed a press conference earlier today demanding that the Eastern Regional Police leadership, as a DCOP George Bwedi Bosman and ACP Reynolds Sam, all be changed immediately because they accuse them of not being effective and proactive in the fight against illegal mining in the Eastern region. But away from that, the cabinet also has officially approved the 2025 national budget and economic policy, clearing the way for its presentation and submission to Parliament. Speaking at a press briefing following a special cabinet meeting, Felix Kwatiofosu, Minister of State for Government Communications, emphasized that the budget aligns with the government's economic priorities and campaign commitments. He assured citizens that the fiscal plan aims to stabilize the economy while safeguarding critical social programs. Chaired by President John Mahama, the cabinet meeting reviewed key policy proposals and evaluated the budget's political and economic implications. The approval process incorporated targeted expenditure reductions and tax reforms designed to enhance revenue generation whilst alleviating financial pressures on the public. Finance Minister Dr. Kasiela Tuforsin is scheduled to present the Mahama-led administration's inaugural budget to Parliament on March 11th. Let's take a listen to Felix Kwatiofosu earlier today.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we just finished a special cabinet session which considered the 2025 budget. to be presented by the Finance Minister on the 11th of March, which is next week, Tuesday. There was also a briefing on the state of the energy sector by the Minister for Energy and Green Transitions, and he will join us shortly to shed some light on some of the key highlights of the briefing. But regarding the 2025 budget, I'm happy to inform you that Cabinet has approved the 2025 budget, which was presented to it by the Minister for Finance, and the budget will encapsulate the economic and financial policy of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, for the 2025 financial year. The budget will capture the state of the Ghanaian economy and bring Ghanaians up to speed on what exactly we inherited. Yes, the President made incursions into the state of the economy during the State of the Nation address, but the Finance Minister will present greater details in terms of what we met. The budget will also respond to the economic crisis bequeathed to us by the NPP administration.
And that's Felix Kwachofoso there. And meanwhile, the Energy Minister, John Jinapor, has disclosed government's plans to construct a second gas processing plant, given the huge power demand and energy sector shortfalls. Ghana's energy sector faces a huge fuel deficit, which has led to power outages and instability for years. At a press briefing at the Jubilee House, John Jinapor noted that the following meeting, Cabinet has directed a construction of a second gas processing plant. He also shed more light on the power sector crisis. We're going to hear from John Jinapor in a bit, but I've been joined on the telephone by Professor Patrick Esuming. He's a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. He's an economist as well. Professor Esuming, appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Good evening to listeners. Thanks for having me.
You hear Felix Kwachofoso also talk about the budget responding to the current economic situation that we're faced with. What are the specific policies or measures you expect to be captured in this budget to respond to the economic situation right now?
Well, a lot. There should be policies to respond to the fiscal challenges. There should be policies to respond to the energy sector challenges. There should be policies to respond to the real sector challenges. So if we start with the fiscal challenges, well, we have been still in huge debt, and government finances are not in good place. So some strengthening of the fiscal consolidation, i.e. finding ways to reduce some aspects of government expenditure, and also improving our tax collection. So far, there's been some of what may happen. The government has promised in its manifesto to remove some taxes. There's been also discussion about rationalizing the tax system to improve the collection, as well as the enforcement regime. So we expect major announcement from there. And of course, we've seen that the government has reduced the size of ministers, the number of ministers. There's some projection that it also reduced some other appointees, especially the presidency. So you expect some expenditure cut and then some revenue increase. Take a specific what they are going to reduce. Then I expect that there will be a credible.
Professor Esuming, I'm losing you. If you could maybe reposition yourself in a bit, because your line keeps breaking up, and I think
Is it better?
It's better now. Thank you. Thank you. You were talking about your expectation, please.
Yes. So I think in terms of the real sector, I think the government has to come up with a plan, a deliverable plan how we are going to resolve the debt within the energy sector, as well as the challenges of production and the distribution. So it might just simply be a roadmap. That is going to
Hello, Prof. It's actually getting worse. I don't know where you are. If you could just keep move around a bit for us, please. It's not good. We cannot hear you.
Can you hear now?
Hello, Prof.
Can you hear me?
No, it's not better. Hello? Okay, so we'll try to call Professor Patrick Esumim back on the telephone because the line to him is a bit cranky. We'll rectify that connection to him. But this is John Jinapo, the Energy Minister, talking about the energy sector debt and measures put in place to address the intermittent power outages that we've been experiencing for some time now.
The energy sector we inherited is riddled with poor infrastructure, huge unsustainable and mounting debts. At the last reconciliation before cabinet, the energy sector debt stands at over 80 billion cedis. ECG's receivables stand at only 8 billion. And so if ECG were to collect all their receivables, we'll still have a shortfall of more than 70 billion. But what is more worrying is that the debt keeps ballooning and increasing. The infrastructure, very, very poor. And what we used to call excess capacity now appears dwindled, and we have to start preparing to increase the capacity in order to meet the demand requirement. We require about $700 million worth of liquid fuel in order to fill the fuel deficit, because our gas today is inadequate to meet our fuel requirements. Consequently, Cabinet has approved a raft of measures aimed at tackling the situation in the medium, long, and even in the short term. Cabinet has approved that in partnership and in conjunction with the Finance Ministry, we take immediate steps to construct a second gas processing plant. This gas processing plant would augment the shortfall and increase supply security.
Well, that's John Jinapo there, and Professor Patrick Esumim is back on the telephone now. Prof, you were talking about the energy sector debt, which the Energy Minister also corroborates, says that the debt keeps mounting by the day. What should be the thinking going into this budget with respect to addressing this energy sector crisis?
Well, I think there are a lot of very important suggestions that the government received at the National Economic Dialogue. So it would be great that having heard those suggestions who have been in that sector, across the private producers, former technicians who have worked in that sector. I think it's good that government condenses all of this and come up with a clear long-term plan, or if you like, a roadmap to do to solve the problem. The problem is not going to be solved in one budget cycle. But there should be a clear and believable plan and strategy that people will know when you follow this. We are going to solve our energy sector funds for all.
I see. Right.
Then I think the other thing has to do.
I see. Now, for ECG, the last time I checked, the debt was over $2 billion. Now, there's that thinking about introducing some private participation in the operations of ECG. In what form should that come from where you sit?
So, I have to say I am not. I'm not an expert. So I don't want to pretend to know that I have the best idea of how to. But the understanding is that the private sector participating is a challenge because of the current situation and the legacy as well as the debt that is accumulating. So if you ask me, I think speaking not from an expert in energy sector point of view, I would say probably focus on the for people to buy equity. I've heard some very important suggestions about giving equity to those who have direct stake by way of the IPPs, the producers, giving them some equity so that once their funds are in the game, they have every interest to ensure that the entity is run well and efficiently. So I think there are various options. We're going to see what the government will choose.
I said, beyond tax reforms, I mean, what additional strategies could the budget introduce to sustainably enhance revenue without overburdening existing taxpayers?
So, well, I think there are different elements of the tax reforms. I think we've already spoken extensively about rationalizing the exemptions. It appears that the finance minister, his veteran said he's not a big fan of exemptions. So we expect that, removing some of the exemptions happen, and then also bringing in the other elements, in particular the property rate, making sure that we are getting more from there. But simple enforcement of ensuring that, the VAT that you are supposed to collect, you are collecting enough, will go a long way. It will interest you to know that given our potential, we are not even collecting 60% of the VAT we should be collecting. And there's been a lot of differences, people belonging to different VAT categories. The businesses have raised issue about the way the VAT is computed, leading to tax on tax. So all of these are important challenges that if you remove them, that's enough to bring us more revenue. But also, we need to begin to look at the leakages, especially the illicit financial flows going through, in particular, the mineral sector, gold. We've had several cases where we report less gold export than the people we export to report. So I think finding ways to plug those holes to ensure that we retain a lot more of the revenue that we are supposed to generate.
And you still stand by the position that e-levy must be scrapped, and then also the emissions tax and the betting tax as well?
Well, I have never been in support of the e-levy. I think I wish that this is in the e-levy to be removed. It's never been a very good tax. Taxing the method of payment has never been a good idea. So I want the e-levy to go. The betting tax, I'm not a fan of its removal. Not for revenue considerations. I think it's just that I'm more concerned about the way betting is taking hold within the economy, especially of young people, and the rate of addiction. That's where my concern is. So I'm not a fan of removal of the betting tax. If it was me, I would even increase it. But the e-levy and the COVID-19 levy, I wouldn't blink about removing them.
See, and maybe finally, before I let you go, very quickly, there are those who have made a proposal that because of the amount of money that government will lose by scrapping these taxes, then we have to look at other ways of also raking in. If we're going to expand the tax net, as we have been told, which areas should this budget capture in terms of the expansion of the tax net?
Well, I think now,
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prof, I can hear you.
Yes. Making sure that, NIE database speaks to vehicle identification database and it speaks to land commission database, so that they are connected to bank database, mobile money database, so that if all transactions require your Ghana.
You have just 150 hash to continue talking now.
That would be very important. The former vice president used to say, because Ghana card has become a 10 number, we have put so many people on the tax. We didn't take advantage
Hello, Prof. Unfortunately, the connection is getting really, really bad, and I would have to apologize to our listeners on this as well. But I think that clearly the point has been well made about your position on the scrapping of the e-levy, the betting tax and emission tax as well, and then also how to expand the tax net. This leads us to the matters of health and then also some concerns as well raised by the Central Regional Minister. Was announced an award scheme for communities that promote sanitation and hygiene. According to him, this is a sustainable measure aimed at tackling hygiene and sanitation-related diseases. Under the award scheme, communities that are able to maintain high standards of hygiene and sanitation, according to Minister Ochipenyi, will be rewarded with developmental projects. The Central Region has been plagued by a cholera outbreak since October last year, leading to nearly 20 deaths in the region. Poor sanitation has been cited by health experts as the cause of the outbreak. Our reporter in the region, Akwesi Ado, is joining us on the telephone for some more on this. Akwesi, now the minister's spoken about the first. Bring us up to speed with this current situation regarding the cholera outbreak in the Central Region, because the last time we checked, 20 people dead. What's the situation now?
Okay, so the number has not reached 19 yet, but it has not reached 20 yet, but it is nearing 20. But currently speaking, the spread has been mitigated because authorities have done their best to try to mitigate same. As at now, the municipality, which was considered as an epicenter, is no more recording positive cases, and that achievement was attained in the last 3 days. Now, as of now, the cases that are being managed is just about 3, and these are suspected cases not from the Efutu municipality, but from other municipalities. And as I speak with you now, the only matter the health services or health experts are dealing with is the side effects of the immunization that was carried out a week ago. And so we have been speaking to the municipal health director for the Efutu municipality. What he's been telling us is that they've been able to achieve this success through the vaccination and then through intensive campaign within various communities, because according to her, they stepped up campaign to admonish residents to adhere to proper sanitation and hygiene practices. So it is the reason that has caused the spread to, cease as of now.
I see. So, but the health service, that vaccination that you talked about, what has been the impact? Aside the side effects that you talk about, what has been the impact and especially the reaction from the people who have also received this vaccine?
Okay, so before the vaccination was done, what was happening in the Efutu municipality was that the spread or the infections was spreading from the coastal communities to the landlocked areas. The UW, remember, began recording cholera cases, prompting authorities to take decisive measures. But as of now, or from since the vaccination was rolled out, we have not recorded a single case in the landlocked areas. And then from last week coming, there has not been any confirmed case coming from the Efutu municipality. Same can be said for the Agona West municipality, that is Agona Suedro and its environs, because the vaccination programs was run for these two municipalities concurrently. And so in the Agona West municipality also, spread has been mitigated, and then those who were infected, according to health officers, have been treated, and a larger number of them also have been discharged.
I see. Now tell us about the Regional Minister's Award Scheme that it's aimed at least also addressing the root cause of this cholera, that is the insanitary conditions in the region.
Okay, so the Central Region is one of the regions that is battling with sanitation issues. Almost all the economic hubs, talk of Mankesim, talk of Kasua, talk of Aguna Swedru, talk of Cape Coast and the likes. These major cities are facing sanitation problems. And so the minister or the Central Regional Coordination Council, in order to improve sanitation at the back of this outbreak, initially instituted a compulsory cleanup exercise that is to be held at the end of every month. And so that exercise began last Saturday, and according to the minister, it is compulsory for every resident of the region, and that he has also urged all the respective MMDAs to ensure that they strictly apply all sanitation-related bylaws to ensure that the region is able to maintain some sort of sanitation and hygiene. Now, he has also announced that because he wants the program to be sustained and he wants to draw participation to the sanitation or the cleanup exercises, he's instituting an award scheme for the various communities in the central region. And so what happens is that assigned officers would be touring the various communities, and then the community that would appear to be outstanding in improving sanitation and hygiene would be rewarded. And according to him, the reward would be in the form of developmental projects to the community, so that it would set as example for other communities as well.
Akwasi, appreciate you for this. Thank you for the update. Akwasi Ado is our Central Regional Correspondent, giving us updates on the cholera outbreak in the region. So live here on Hot Edition, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond, and we're getting some information that a heavy rainstorm has struck the Savannah regional capital of Damongo, killing one person and causing havoc to homes and shops, amongst others. Now, the disaster which occurred claimed the life of a 7-year-old girl who, together with her elder brother, were running home when a roofing sheet from one of the affected buildings fell and cut her on the neck, causing her to bleed to death. A family member of the deceased, Karim Salifo, expressed regret following this particular incident and allowing the deceased outside the house at that hour, leading to her death. The 10-minute storm hit hard on the business and several communities in the area. Now, the greater part of the building housing the Damongo branch of the Volta River Authority was badly hit, with all computers of the company soaked in water. A nearby pharmacy and other shops were also affected. At the time of fire, our correspondent bringing us the details of the story. Officials of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, say they were still taking stock of the destruction and could not confirm the extent of the damage caused. That's information that we have right now. We'll give you an update on the situation with the persons who have been displaced as well as a result of the tidal waves in some parts of the Volta region. But let's go to the northern region as well, because we are getting some information about another devastating storm that swept through the Manaele community in the Nanumba North municipality of the northern region, leaving more than 50 houses in ruins and displacing nearly 200 residents. The storm also destroyed food supplies and other valuables, worsening the plight of affected families. The aftermath of the disaster paints a grim picture, with strong winds ripping off roofs, collapsing structures, and plunging the community into darkness due to power outages. We're keeping an eye on this one. We'll be updating you some more as we go on here on Hot Edition. But let's go to some more stories. As the Coalition for Youth Development in Ochiman, they've petitioned the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, over alleged derogatory remarks made about the late Dr. Joseph Boachi Dankwa. The group claims that Tamale Central MP Murtala Mohammed described Dr. JB Dankwa as a traitor and a CIA operative during parliamentary proceedings on February 4, 2025, which they consider offensive due to his role in Ghana's independence struggle. In the petition, the group's convener, Okumenin Yaboa, called for a retraction and apology from the MP on the floor of Parliament, as well as the expunging of the remarks from parliamentary records.
On that day, the Honourable Member for Bakwa South, Dr. Kingsley Ajimai, in the lawful exercise of parliamentary duty, delivered a commemorative statement in honor of the late Dr. Joseph Boache Dankwa, an eminent statesman, scholar, a pivotal figure in Ghana's constitutional development. In the course of those proceedings, the Honorable Murtala Muhammad, Member of Parliament of Tamale Central, in contributing to the discussion, made remarks that are now a matter of record, asserting that, quote, "It is important to emphasize the point that he, J.B. Dankwa, into brackets, betrayed his state." Further to this, the Honorable Member purportedly referenced Martin Maridate, the state of Africa, alleging that Dr. Dankwa was an operative of the United States Central Intelligence Agency, to bracket CIA, and received remuneration to act against the interests of Ghana. These statements, unsubstantiated and historically questionable, misrepresent the legacy of Dr. Dankwa and risk perpetuating inaccuracies in the official records of Parliament. While we acknowledge and uphold the right of members of Parliament to free speech and debate within the confines of Article 115 of the 1992 Constitution, such privilege carries with a duty to ensure that parliamentary discourse is grounded in factual accuracy and historical integrity. Moreover, Article 116 of the Constitution provides for inquiry into any statement that, upon prima facie examination, warrants corrective measures in the interest of fairness and accuracy. In the light of foregoing, we respectfully petition this Honorable House to 1. Direct the remarks in question be expunged from the parliamentary records to ensure that the official proceedings of this esteemed institution remain an accurate and credible account of history. 2. Require the Honorable Murtala Muhammad, MP, to issue a formal and unequivocal apology on the floor of Parliament, retracting his statements and acknowledging this inaccuracy. This course of action is necessary to preserve the dignity of parliamentary discourse, uphold the integrity of historical truth, and reaffirm the responsibility of members of Parliament to engage in fact-based debate.
To education now, where the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, that's GTEC, they've announced the successful absorption of Savannah College of Education into the public college system. The move marks a significant step in the country's educational advancement. Let's engage correspondent Christopher Mwako on this. Chris, this college was in the news a few days ago. Tell us about that and really what was the consideration for this significant decision that has been taken now?
Yes, so Alfred, when the matter broke, when the students demonstrated last week Saturday on March 1, the issue became serious on Tuesday when the residents of the Daboya community besieged the Savannah College of Education campus to, as it were, get the students to open the locked-up lecture halls, and this resulted in some misunderstanding. After some days of engagement, which resulted in the police and military being deployed to the area, the Member of Parliament for the Daboya Mankaru constituency, lawyer Shaibu Obe, actually with the former Member of Parliament and former Deputy Health Minister Alhaji Aseitini and other stakeholders from the Jakwa Palace, that is the Yegbon Rest Palace, met with the Education Minister the day before yesterday. That was on Wednesday. And so they reached an agreement, and today we are seeing a release from the Education Ministry that the school has been fully absorbed. Now, one thing is that some processes had gone through previously. For instance, GTEC and other stakeholders, including the school, signed a memorandum of understanding, and so some processes have gone through, but they were just waiting for the final clearance and absorption. And this time, according to the letter that has been released, we understand that the school has been fully absorbed. But Alfred, one thing I can say is that the students, most of them have left campus, and with this news, I am sure that by tomorrow they will begin to get back to campus.
And we got information that there's been the police and military deployment as a result of the clash earlier in the week. What's the situation now?
Yes, so they have since been deployed, withdrawn, because most of the students have left campus, and classrooms and lecture halls that were under lock and key have since been opened. The Member of Parliament have been engaging the community members, including the chiefs, to ensure that there is that unity between the students and the community members. And so as we speak, some calm has been restored in the community, and so the military and the police that were stationed at the school premises have been withdrawn.
Chris, appreciate you for this. Thank you so much. Christopher Marco is our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent there. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Stay with us. The business news with Mike Gulubodo is up next after this quick break.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact act triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start, sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, Cabinet approves 2025 budget ahead of presentation in Parliament on Tuesday, March 11. We'll bring you a brief on some of the things to expect in the budget shortly. I am Michael Obodu. Please stay tuned. Straight to our top story, and Cabinet, after scrutiny, has approved the 2025 budget submitted by Finance Minister Dr. Alfred Akrofi ahead of its presentation to Parliament on March 11. The Cabinet, chaired by President John Mahama, reviewed the proposed policies to ensure alignment with the National Democratic Congress NDC's campaign promises while assessing the political and economic implications of the measures outlined.
Key areas of discussion included tax policy and expenditure cuts. Sources indicate that Dr. Forson is pushing for a rationalization of the tax structure, with plans to remove taxes such as the betting tax, e-levy and COVID-19 levy. Economic advisor to the president, Seth Tepe, has expressed confidence that strict tax compliance measures will help close the expected revenue gap from the tax removals. Meanwhile, there are strong indications that expenditure cuts will feature prominently in the budget, though details on affected sectors remain unclear. Government sources say the 2025 budget will also prioritize social intervention programs and economic stabilization measures, with a focus on job creation and private sector growth as part of efforts to rebuild confidence in the economy. Dr. Forson is set to present the final document to Parliament on Tuesday, March 11, outlining the government's economic strategy for the year ahead.
Well, still on the budget, the Civil Society Budget Forum is advocating for a review of Ghana's public sector debt accounting to align with international standards. According to the group, the current system allows excessive discretion in debt classification, worsening the country's debt position. Forum member Abdul Karim Mohammed emphasized the urgent need for reforms, arguing that adopting global standards would enhance transparency and strengthen the government's fiscal management efforts.
We have had a situation in this country where in the recent past, the Ministry of Finance determined which type of debt must be captured in our national debt. And that gives you a false impression of fiscal space. and that opportunity to borrow more, because if you do your debt to GDP ratio, it will tell you that you have not hit the ceiling yet, so you will keep going. And that is why we are advocating that this shouldn't be allowed going forward. We must use the international public sector accounting standard for reporting our national debt, so that at any point in time we know exactly how much we owe. For instance, the Sino-Hydro facility that we took, it was classified as a barter arrangement and not captured as part of our national debt per se. The financial sector cleanup was not being captured because it was seen as a one-off kind of expenditure. The energy sector debt was also treated the same. So and these are very huge amounts. When you take them out of your national debt stock, it will give you a false impression of having the fiscal space to be able to borrow more. And by the time you realize, we would have hit the iceberg of debt.
You heard there Abdul Karim Mohammed. He is a member of the Civil Society Budget Forum. Now, away from that, the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals has called on the government to fast-track the passage of the Occupational Safety and Health Bill into law. This follows a tragic explosion at mining shops in Odumase near Konongo in the Ashanti region, which claimed 3 lives. Speaking to 3 Business, the Institute's president, Miriam Edufo, emphasized that enacting the bill is crucial to preventing such incidents and strengthening workplace safety nationwide.
All these are happening because we don't have one framework that manages all this into detail. In Ghana here, as we speak, we have several frameworks, okay, and some are existing with the Ghana National Fire Service. NADMO has a little. You go to EPA, they have some. You go to Ghana Standard Board. So when we talk about health and safety management, environmental management, they are started. But assuming we have an authority, one body trying to make sure all these things are harmonized, and we have the resources to make sure that these accidents don't happen, then it's going to help. Look, for 30 years now, the Occupational Health and Safety Bill has been shelved. And anytime they want to even send to Parliament, something will happen, it will not work. Every year, year after year, government after government, we have been updating this policy to no avail. Okay, so if we have that authority there, then definitely companies and organizations will know that they cannot make such simple mistakes.
And that was the voice of Engineer Dr. Miriam Edufo. She is the president of the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, bringing an end to the business segment on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obudu. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and Bill is on standby.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Lishen. Now let's begin from the Ghana Football Association because the General Secretary of the body, that is Prosper Harris-Nado, has confirmed that the Ghana Premier League would resume after weeks of inactivity. In an exclusive interview with Free Sports, Prosper acknowledged that there will be minor challenges with the new protocols but assured that the league is set to restart.
Yes, the league will take place this weekend. We have been engaging with, like I said, all the stakeholders and we would work with the protocols we've drafted for ourselves. And I keep saying that these protocols came mainly from the teams themselves. When we had that engagement from 11 a.m. to 6 o'clock, we were drafting this engagement, a lot of debates, a lot of discussion before we got to this point. So the teams are aware. We've done the education. As for education, it doesn't end. We will continue to do, we've done the supporters leadership. And this weekend we'll put the protocols into action. Obviously, being the first day, there will be one or two, maybe glitches, but we'll be ready to work at them.
That was Prosper Harrison-Addo, the GFA's General Secretary. As the Ghana Premier League makes its long-awaited return tomorrow, with some exciting fixtures lined up, Asante Kotoko will host Legon Cities, while Hartlepool will take on Young Apostles. Now, Mediama, who are enduring a challenging season, face an informed Bechem United, but head coach Ibrahim Tanko remains confident that his side will secure a victory.
Yes, I mean, it's very unfortunate that we are out of the MTN FA Cup. Definitely, we disappointed our fans. But I think when you look at this week, the way the boys train and the way we work, definitely I have a very hope that we are going to make them happy.
That's Ibrahim Tanko, the head coach of Mediama SC. Now, meanwhile, Ghana Football Association's executive committee member, that is Kingsley Osei-Bonsu, has expressed full support for the club's licensing board's decision to cite security concerns at the Baba Yara Stadium ahead of the league's resumption.
But what I would say is I'm not a part of the club licensing management. But minimum say, almost centered seriously on safety zone. Now we have safety zone now. I don't think Kotoko have got a safety zone. So it's high time the stakeholders or the National Sports Authority also will say yes, there's a need for us to get a safety zone for the stadium. And I think, sir, I wouldn't like to conclude, sir, they've taken the right decision, but for football reasons, I think it's the best of decisions.
Now, here are the full fixtures for the Ghana Premier League as it makes its return. Hartlepool will be facing Young Apostles, Bekum Chelsea versus Accra Lions, Asante Kotoko versus Legon Cities, Mediama versus Bechem United, Dreams FC versus Aduana, Karela versus Basake Holy Stars, Vision FC versus Hearts of Lions, Bibiani Gold Stars versus Nations FC, and then Swatreman versus Samatex. These are the fixtures for the Ghana Premier League. But let's shift our attention to European football, where Tottenham Hotspur manager Ange Postecoglou has emphasized the need for consistency from his team as they strive to turn their season around. With a patchy run of results, Spurs currently find themselves in 13th position, highlighting the urgency for improvement.
It's important, you know. It's obviously the results, the kind of ultimate ambition for the weekend, but performance is important. I think it's fair to say it's our inconsistency. Our best and our worst this year has had too much of a gap, and we've certainly been really good at times, but like last night, we've been poor at times this year, and we paid a price for that. And we need to rectify that and try and get a bit more consistency in performance, which then I think will reflect more on the results. But we need both a good performance and a good result on the weekend. Like I said, look, the Alkmaar game, as poor as it was, the reality of it is it's 1-0. We've got them at home next week. We can focus on that after the Bournemouth game, but right now that's got to be our.
That was Ange Postecoglou, the head coach of Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Manchester City are set to clash with informed Nottingham Forest at the City Ground on Saturday, with the reigning champions eyeing an opportunity to leapfrog their hosts, who currently occupy third spot with a slender 1-point advantage in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest boss Nuno Espirito Santo has acknowledged the enormity of the task ahead, conceding that the upcoming showdown with the reigning champions will be a formidable challenge.
The approach is the same. Nothing changes. We have to realize that we're going to play a very, very good team, a team that has been able to clearly dominate in the last years, a coach that has big impact on the game, fantastic players, so the same approach, realizing how hard it's going to be, but at the same time with the job.
Well, here are the full fixtures in the Premier League for match day 28. Nottingham Forest versus Manchester City, as mentioned earlier. Brighton versus Fulham. Crystal Palace versus Ipswich. Liverpool versus Southampton. Brentford versus Aston Villa. Wolves will face Everton. Chelsea will face Leicester City. Tottenham will face Bournemouth. West Ham will face Newcastle. And the biggest match of the weekend, Manchester United will be facing Arsenal. Here are the standings for the Premier League. Liverpool are first with 67 points. Arsenal second with 54 points. Nottingham Forest third with 48. Manchester City fourth with 47. Chelsea fifth, 46. And Newcastle are sixth with 44. A real battle for a place in the top four. But let's move on to tennis, where Emma Raducanu suffered a straight set defeat to Japan's Moyuka Uchishima in the opening round of the Indian Wells, marking her first match since being targeted by a stalker during the game. And coming up later tonight is a special story as part of our build-up to the International Women's Day, dubbed Overcoming the Technical Stereotype by Akosia Ejay. So join us tonight at TV3 at 7:45 p.m. That brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Shen, and of course there are a lot more coming up in European football during the weekend. Before I do go, let's look at some of the fixtures that will be happening in Ligue 1. Currently, PSG are on top of the table. Toulouse will be facing Monaco. Salisu will be in action for the French side. That is Monaco. Rennes will be facing PSG. Lille will face Montpellier. Marseille will face Lens. Brest will face Angers. Le Havre will face Saint-Etienne. Reims will face Auxerre. Nantes versus Strasbourg. And Nice will be facing Lyon. These are the fixtures in Ligue 1 coming up. And also, we have fixtures in La Liga that will be coming up during the weekend as well. Celta de Vigo will be facing Leganés. Alaves will face Villarreal. Valencia will face Valladolid. Barcelona will be facing Osasuna. Getafe will face Atletico Madrid. Real Madrid will face Rayo Vallecano. Athletic Bilbao with Iñaki Williams will be facing Mallorca. And we have Betis who will be facing Las Palmas. Real Sociedad will be facing Sevilla. And Espanyol will be facing Girona. Remember that Barcelona are currently on top of La Liga with 57 points. Atletico Madrid second with 56. And Real Madrid currently third on the log with 54 points. A tight race for the title. 3 points separates Barcelona from third place Real Madrid. Bringing an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. Of course, Alfred and the rest of the team are on standby with more. Stay tuned.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact act triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and Ugel Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
I wake up early every weekday because of you to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiampofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Welcome back to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. To some more stories this evening here on Hot Edition. The outgone Akrofi administration, launched a free dialysis program in December 2024 under the National Health Insurance Scheme as a policy response to repeated concerns about dialysis costs in the country. However, many still question whether the new government, so this current administration, will sustain and adequately fund the program. To understand its real-world impact, my colleague Sarah Penkro has been investigating how this initiative has affected patients.
Gladys is a renal disease patient who has been battling the condition for 10 years. Looking fit and healthy today, this would not have been the case just a few months ago, when she could barely afford a single dialysis session needed to survive.
Before no, na me ntumi nyehwe, me ntumi nkɔ baby, asɔre kra me ntumi nkɔ bi.
I couldn't do anything, not even to attend church service. People were ignoring my calls. An emotional 32-year-old Gladys says she never wants her hopes for a better life shattered again. I don't work. My only support system is also struggling. Now, I can go and come. So if he cancels it, then we are doomed. Her friend Priscilla, 29, who has also been battling the disease since she was 21, says she has never felt more hopeful since the introduction of the free dialysis policy.
I come once a week or sometimes once in 2 weeks.
My family is exhausted, so they have stopped supporting. Even my church has also stopped the support. I had no help at all, but now I can do everything on my own.
Before I cry and say I make Pierre Bonty, and I say, "The small boy be with you, or no be so anymore, no di me a pee." And I say, "Me crap on my name, the anante. We never buy any day, and me adum. Me hoye, me nante, me ko baby, me pese me kubiano. Eduani bia me di. Sanya pese me bomb life no. Me.
Although they continue to receive treatment at various health facilities, both Gladys and Priscilla are mindful of the policy's timelines.
I joined the Betoya Sopa because Kenyan for just 3 months. And you know, they are dreaming after 3 months, no, Fufuya will be Obetwaswana.
We are wondering the next step by this current administration.
I say, will be trim.
That's my colleague Sarah Aprenko there. Our former Foreign Affairs Minister and Secretary General Special Initiative Representative of the Libya and Head of Unions and the United Nations Support Mission Program, Hannah Tete, has encouraged people in positions to create an enabling environment for women to thrive. Her comments come as the world prepares to celebrate women tomorrow.
When I was the Special Representative of the Secretary General to the African Union, the UN Secretary General Special Representative to the African Union, on the 20th anniversary of Security Council Resolution 1325 and its affiliated resolutions on women and peace and security, I felt that the work that African women peacemakers had done was to a large extent undocumented and unknown. And so with the AU Commissioner for Political Affairs at the time, Madam Minata Samate, we did a joint publication called She Stands for Peace, 20 Years, 20 Stories. And what we did with She Stands for Peace was that we invited African women who had been involved in these processes to tell their stories and to send whatever information they felt they wanted to share to a particular site that we created for aggregation of all of these stories. And of course, we wanted to make sure that what we're saying were factual. So we used a lot of the UN offices in the country to give cross-reference the stories that we were told to find out whether indeed this was what had happened. Had this woman been involved, as she said she had been? And in that book, She Stands for Peace, 20 Women, 20 Stories, I was surprised to find out just how many brave and courageous women have stood up to do things not expecting to be celebrated, not expecting their work to be highlighted, but just to make a difference in their countries and to help countries that were going through instability to return to stability and to progress. And that's just one example. I could mention others, but the point I'm making is if you have the opportunity to lift up women anywhere, you should do so. Because by so doing and having, that critical mass of women being shown as capable, as confident, as effective, just creates so much more opportunities for many other women as well.
What would you say about those who are of the view that women must earn their positions? Because I hear you make the argument of yes, support them. Earlier you talked about working hard enough. How do you marry that? Earn your position, and yet we must also make room for women, like we even have spelled out in the affirmative action law, which was passed just last time.
I think it's important while we create opportunity for those who otherwise would not have the opportunity. If you rely only on affirmative action and you don't create a competitive environment where people understand that they have the opportunity and they also have an obligation to earn their place, then of course what happens is that it tends to even cheapen the position, because the assumption is that, well, we can give a token appointment and that's all that is necessary. So there is very much the need
some time and visit 3news.com on behalf of the rest of the team. We appreciate your company.
That what you are doing.
Join the team at 10 p.m. for Ghana tonight, and also tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for The Key Point. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Do enjoy a weekend. The drive continues with DJ Faculty and the team. Stay with us.